holiday weekend coming up. Joining me, Andrew McLean, today, we've got all the J's. Jamelia, Joyner, and our guest loose-woman for the day, Jo Wood. Coming up today, we are talking Jeremy Clarkson's apology, the tragedy of Peaches Geldof asking if we say I love you enough, and also discussing how much of a deal-breaker someone's smell is. Oh, and getting gardening tips from these naked gardeners. Yep. If you're watching at home, you have time for a quick cuppa because they're on at the end of the show, but we may be teasing you, so don't go anywhere. As usual, we want to hear what you think on everything we're discussing today. Get in touch by 1 p.m. The details are all on the screen now. We're talking plants later, but Jo, have you ever been described as a wallflower?
No, I don't think so. I hope not.
I doubt it. I doubt it. Are you into gardening at all? Is this
yes, I actually have a little vegetable garden. I'm mad about organic food, so I grow vegetables in my garden, yeah.
Oh, and do you have any help in the garden, or you do it yourself?
Yeah, I have a gardener.
And is he close?
Yeah, he's a good-looking guy.
Really? Yeah. He's got time. Rob, text him. Yeah. Get him in by the end of the show.
Yeah, Rob, get your kit off. Yeah.
All right, first of all today, though, we're going to be discussing Jeremy Clarkson. He's at the centre of a controversy at this lunchtime after a film of him reciting the age-old nursery rhyme Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo, which includes racist language in its original form, was made public. He begged for forgiveness and says he didn't use the N-word but mumbled instead. Last night, he posted this apology.
A couple of years ago, I recorded an item for Top Gear in which I quoted the rhyme Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo. Now, of course, I was well aware that in the best-known version of this rhyme, there is a racist expression that I was extremely keen to avoid. In one of the mumbled versions, if you listen very carefully with the sound turned right up, it did appear that I'd actually used the word I was trying to obscure. I was mortified by this, horrified. It is a word I loathe. Please be assured I did everything in my power to not use that word, and that I'm sitting here begging your forgiveness for the fact that obviously my efforts weren't quite good enough. Thank you.
So, should he be forgiven, and should he keep his job, Jamelia?
I mean, that's the first time I've seen that apology or whatever it is that he's doing, and I just think, okay, number one, what do you want forgiveness for? If you didn't say anything, what are we to forgive? Number two, if you do everything in your power not to do something, you don't do it. It's, you know, there is no grey area. It's just not done. For instance, we're not allowed to swear on this show. We're not going to swear. It's as simple as that. That's you doing everything in your power. Personally, I believe that the BBC should exercise zero tolerance. He's got to go. For me, he's a 54-year-old man. He is very aware of the deep-rooted negative connotations associated with that word. And whether you mumble it, whether you say it, it is not on, it is not acceptable, and it is deeply offensive to 2 million people.
I agree with you. I think he should know better at his age. Yeah, absolutely.
And he's in a position of power and influence, and there are so many people of many different races who watch his show, and you know, that should not be in your vocabulary. It should not be in your head. I understand, you know, I do understand that the original version of this, and I only learned today that this was the original version. Fair enough. But regardless, I mean, you know, there are so many negative and so many bad things we are aware of and we are knowledgeable of, but it doesn't mean that we are going to feel okay about saying something like that. You're being recorded. I mean, I'm sorry, I just find the situation absolutely ridiculous. And again, what are we forgiving him for? Why? Because if I haven't done something, I'm not going to say, oh, please forgive me for the thing that I didn't do.
Yeah.
Huh?
And he says he mumbled it. He says he mumbled it. Why would you be mumbling something, you know, that you
not, Jo, he said
say?
he mumbled. He didn't say he mumbled it. The apology, if that's what, you know, to use that term, he's not actually saying, sorry, I mumbled it. He just said he mumbled, and it sounded like it was a word.
I just don't think that sounds
I'd like to know what you and the audience think. Do you think he should lose his job over this? Well, that's a kind of half and half, actually.
Yeah,
Do you want to give
no.
us a little show of hands? Who do you think he should lose his job over this? That's not that
Wow,
many,
it's not that many at all.
What do you think, Jo?
It is a really difficult one, and I'm not in as good a position, I think, as you to know what the right and the wrong is of it. Obviously, I know it's the wrong use of a word,
Yeah.
and I feel my strongest feeling was that he's a silly, arrogant, out of date, stupid old man. I don't know necessarily whether that means that he deserves to lose his entire career because of it. I think it's absolutely right that it's in the news and that we're talking about it, and it's crucial that he apologises for it. I think his bosses are better placed than me to decide. Rather, I'm really wary of this kind of mob mentality that there is. I'm not talking about you saying it should be sacked. I'm talking about on the internet nowadays. It's really easy for a gang to suddenly somebody's career is brought down because people get behind it, and it's a kind of vigilante feel about it. And I can completely understand why it's whipped up such strong feeling, and it absolutely should. But I think that ultimately his bosses need to be.
Well, talking of his bosses, obviously his bosses are the BBC, and of course the BBC is funded by taxpayers, by licence payers' money. So we are.
I do agree.
In effect.
So yeah, put it to the vote.
But also, and I mean, and I am saying this, and I'm being very strong about this. But being a black person, I am offended when I hear it anywhere,
Used by another black
anybody.
person.
Yeah, I don't believe that. I'm not a part of. And don't get me wrong, I listen to rap music and I love rap music, but every time I hear it, I'm so offended. I'm like, you are so stupid, and I think they're just as stupid as Jeremy Clarkson is for saying it. Like, I just think, this word is something that. I understand. It's a word that is used to cause offence, and there is nothing you can do to change that. There is nothing you can do. It's as simple as that.
I mean, it's interesting, you bring up the whole rapping thing, because obviously it's a word that's really prevalent in rap music.
Yeah.
And some would say that the people who use that word are trying to regain ownership of it, if you like, and use it as an empowering tool. Would you not agree with that?
I mean, I've seen that. I've seen people try to do that with many different words, with the B word when it comes to women, and I just think, no, it's just not okay. I mean, there are too many people who the word historically, where it originated from, the slavery days, it was used as yet another tool to beat us, to keep us down, and I can't celebrate that in any way. You can't, no matter how many ways you sing it in a song, I'm not going to be able to join in and say, yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm not. It's not a word to be used. It's not okay.
It's interesting as well, just picking up what you were saying, Jo, that, some would say he's a man who is perhaps arrogant, perhaps foolish, but he's not necessarily racist. His co-presenters, James May and obviously Richard Hammond, they've been tweeting about it. And, James May said, Jeremy Clarkson's not a racist. He's many other things, but not that. Richard Hammond says he's an idiot, yes, but not a racist. What do you think, Jo, in terms of someone's whole career being brought down by a mistake, which he actually says on camera? This was years ago. It wasn't a live programme that it accidentally came out.
This isn't the first mistake of its kind that he has made. Yeah. And I think that needs to be taken into consideration as well. It's not just the first time. And what are we saying every time we forgive him for, using this word? Oh, because it's Jeremy Clarkson.
Or mumbling what sounded like the word as well.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, he has done this sort of thing before, hasn't he? So
he's put his foot in it before, yeah.
Yeah, I should think he's terrified right now, isn't he, about his career? My God.
I mean, obviously, it has happened before. Ron Atkinson, he was fired for using that word, so there is a precedent has been set.
Really?
So time will tell.
Maybe it's time for him to sort of back down.
And Ron Atkinson used it in a very different context as well. I think he meant it, in a...
Well, it was a bit clearer rather than being mumbled. All right. Well, time will tell, and time will tell. Okay, it is break time now. When we return, Jo is going to be telling us her thoughts on the shocking news that heroin was involved in Peaches Geldof's death. And also, do we need to be told when and how often to say, I love you? We'll see you in a bit.